Interestingly enough, filing for bankruptcy in Connecticut can be expensive. Everyone's situation is different, so sometimes it can be difficult to come up with $2,000 to pay for a bankruptcy attorney in Bridgeport to New Haven or across Connecticut to file your case. So as you probably already noticed from the video's title, today I'm actually going to go through the 10 different steps that you may need to take so you can file Chapter 7 bankruptcy in Connecticut without using an attorney. So let's get right into it. Welcome to the Ascend Finance YouTube channel, where we actually cover Chapter 7 bankruptcy and help you understand the cost, pros and cons, and ultimately get out of debt cheaper, easier, and faster. Now, I wanted to personalize this whole video to your situation, so I'm going to link a bankruptcy filing software in the description that was actually built for Connecticut residents and for those in all 50 states who are potentially unable to afford an attorney, but are still kind of looking for some sort of step-by-step guidance on filing their own bankruptcy. The software can actually automatically pull your creditor information and upload that information to the forms, which should save you a ton of time, and it also provides the specific courthouse in Connecticut that may be handling your case. So in addition, right, the forms can honestly feel a bit clunky and hard to understand at times, and so the bankruptcy filing software kind of changes the way you fill out the forms, right? So instead of, filling out all the forms manually, it's actually going to turn these forms into quizzes and then will automatically fill out the forms for you. Now, if you'd actually like to see whether the bankruptcy filing software could work for you, feel free to actually fill out the short questionnaire that's linked in the description below. I put that there so you can understand whether the software will actually work for you. Also, just keep in mind this video is made for informational purposes only and should never be construed as any kind of legal advice. So let's go ahead and just dive into step one. For step one, it's helpful to probably gather your information and your documents before you kind of dive into filling out the forms. It can be helpful to gather all essential information on your debts, your assets, your income, and honestly your expenses as well. Now, to help with that, you can either grab some free copies of your credit reports, and that way you have all your information in front of you and it didn't actually cost you any money to get that. You also may want to get documents related to your tax returns for the last 2 years, along with any kind of paperwork showing any kind of income, expenses, debts, and of course, your assets. Okay, for step 2, you're gonna want to complete the Chapter 7 means test. So this test will ultimately help determine if you qualify for a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, meaning are you able to go through the process and then wipe away the unsecured debt. Now, step 3, you're going to complete your credit counseling course. So if you do end up passing the means test, you're most likely going to make the next move, which is completing your credit counseling course. This is the first of 2 courses that you may need to take before you file bankruptcy and potentially get your discharge. Okay, now step 4, it's time to actually fill out the forms. There are about, I think, 24 forms, but depending on your situation, the paperwork could stack up to honestly 70 or more pages. And you can actually find these forms on the official U.S. Courts website. Let me pause for just a moment and jump in. As I mentioned, there are a lot of forms, and it can be difficult to compile everything as well. So the software that I mentioned will not only fill out the forms automatically for you based on how you answer questions, but it's also going to give you the ability to preview all the forms and download all of them in literally one click. That's in one place, so you don't have to worry about missing any documents. You just click download all, and then on the software, it will provide you with all the forms filled out, ready to go. Now, again, if you'd like to see whether the software would actually work for you, take the short questionnaire that's in the description below. Okay, step 5, let's jump back into it. It's now time to have your filing fee ready. Now, before filing, you want to make sure that you most likely have that $338 filing fee ready to go. This fee is most likely going to go straight to the courts when you file your forms. You can potentially use cash, money orders, or maybe a check to pay the court directly. Now, if you can't actually pay the fee full up front, you may be able to get it paid in installments or sometimes get it waived altogether. Those are just a few things to look into and then reach out to the court about. Okay, step 6 is actually filing your bankruptcy forms with the court. Now, we're getting very close. So once everything's filled out, you're going to print your forms. You just want to make sure to print on one side of the paper. You want to actually look to see if there's any errors, then sign in all the correct spots, and then you'll actually want to attach the copies of your income evidence that you found over the last 6 months. You're going to also attach your credit counseling certificate to prove you went through that, and then your application to waive or pay the filing fee in installments if that's applicable to you. Now, step 7, you're going to want to mail the required documents to the Chapter 7 trustee. You're going to keep an eye on your mailbox. Open all the mail you get from the trustee, the bankruptcy, or any kind of creditors. That way you don't miss anything that could potentially lead to your case being dismissed. Okay, step 8 is completing your debtor education course. So now that I've kind of chatted about the credit counseling course, you're actually going to want to also take the debtor education course. It's often offered by the same company, so you kind of want to get that taken care of and then file your certificate with the court as well. Okay, step 9 is the 341 first meeting of creditors. So about 30-ish to 45 days after you've actually filed, you'll have the first meeting of creditors. Here, the trustee will ask you some questions under oath about your case, but don't worry too much. These questions will honestly be based on your information that you've already provided in your forms, so it should be okay. Now, step 10, your car loans or any other secured debts. So secured debts like car loans aren't necessarily actually going to be discharged in a bankruptcy. So you'll want to either keep making payments, potentially surrender it, or do something else entirely. But if you do want to keep the car, there's one way about doing that, and that's typically reaffirming the loan. This basically means that the loan stays active outside of the bankruptcy, that you can keep paying on it. Now, of course, if you default on that later, then the lender can potentially repossess the car, but that's essentially what a reaffirmation means. Okay, well, thank you guys so much for sticking around until the end. I know 10 steps can feel long, and as I mentioned, feel free to fill out that questionnaire. It's in the description. That way you can see whether the bankruptcy filing software could work for you. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.